So, where are we in the economic and investing grand scheme? Hi, I'm John McNeil, and this is the Invest Strong Network. Welcome. So, we are using a baseball analogy because it looks like the Astros might be headed back to the World Series. Yay! We are in maybe the seventh inning of the CV-19 pandemic baseball game, right? Not the end, not even close to the end, but moving towards the end. Now, that begs the question, economically and financially, where are we overall? Well, we can study the data, and I've certainly done that. And one can examine the anecdotal evidence, and I've done that also. It seems to me that the economy and the investing environment overall is recovering. Now, I use that term recovering, clearly indicating that it has not recovered. And this full recovery may, in fact, be nothing like what we expected. Let me give you some examples. So in 2019, uh, unemployment was low. The nation was running enormous budget deficits, but our credit rating was decent, and the investment markets had recovered almost entirely from the great financial crisis of the late 2000s, and in fact, also the kind of mini crash of late November, December 2018. And so it looked like the skies were blue, the grass was green, everything was going pretty good. Now, the CV-19 pandemic, of course, put a monkey wrench in all of that. And of course, there's really no need to go deep into that. We understand what that did. Now, as the numbers recover from the depths of the CV-19 pandemic, the economy that is actually going to come out the other end of this thing will, in fact, not at all be like the economy of 2019. I know in the industry I work in, the hospitality industry, hotels, restaurants, and this is a big chunk of the American economy. Things are not and may never be the way they were previously, right? Uh, Companies that we had enormous contracts with to that they would conduct gatherings, continuing education classes for their international employees, things like all of that has ended. And even as the pandemic begins to wane, many of these companies have elected to go ahead and reactivate some of their functions and activities, but do it all via Zoom or some other telephonic arrangement. And that is a permanent move for many of them. So much of our business has been lost forever, right? Also, many employees, shall we say, white collar employees, office workers, things like that, they have not and they may never return to their offices. So, if they are employed and they have been able to retain their employment during and now even getting employment back at the tail end of the CV-19 pandemic, they may be relegated to working remote, working from home, not being in that kind of collective environment that an office space provides. And for many of the industries that have operated for years in the post-World War II period like that, that has changed permanently. It's gone, right? And this is having real world impacts on the hospitality industry in particular. For example, the hotel restaurant I work at had previously had a very vibrant lunch shift. And in fact, I used to work the lunch shift. And many of these persons worked in the office parks in the West Chase area of Houston. They would come into our restaurant for lunch as they entertained clients. And it was actually a very vibrant shift. We loved it. We have, in fact, not been able to reestablish a lunch shift at all at our restaurant. Why? Because many of the office parks, the office workers, some of them have not reopened, right, at all. And the ones that have reopened are basically operating with skeleton crews. Now, we have said to ourselves, well, when will these people get back, into their office space? I mean, when we hit herd immunity, right? 85% of persons who have either been fully vaccinated or have already been infected by CV-19, thus giving the overall population the herd immunity that we've been craving since really February of 2020. Perhaps that'll bring people back into the office parks. No, it will not. Many of them have been discharged and they will be working from remote if they have retained their positions at all. And these are permanent arrangements. And so our lunch shift, if we do decide to have a lunch shift in the future, and it is my hope that they will reactivate it at some point, it'll be nothing like it was previously. And you take that, my small hotel restaurant job, and multiply it by many hundreds of thousands over the stretch of Texas and actually the United States of America writ large. And what you have is an economy that will not be anything like it was before this pandemic, right? Now, going beyond the hospitality industry and using anecdotal evidence, I can honestly say that things have begun to pick up in the last, say, month and a half or so. Now, I base this on the number of persons that I see in our public transportation system, right, which I use often every day, right, various routes. And I had been measuring it carefully since I went back to work back in late March. And really from late March until early September of 2021, there was very, very sparse traffic in the public transportation system. And actually going beyond that, on the highways, byways, and streets of Houston, Texas, traffic was writ large, very, very light. Now, that has begun to build, but it is absolutely nothing compared to what it was in 2019, 2018, and like that. It's really no comparison, to be totally honest with you, right? And so, but since early September, I have seen a noticeable uptick, and that's good. Obviously, that shows that there is more activity. There's more transport going on. Those are all very positive signs. Now, looking at the factual data, the data that's published, unfortunately, usually it's quite dated by the time we receive it, right? Now, that dating may be anywhere from a few weeks to actually a few months. So it's rather difficult to get a good idea of exactly where we're at by just examining data alone. But with that said, a combination of examining the publicly accessible data along with using anecdotal evidence clearly shows me that the economy is in recovery mode. It is recovering. Now, of course, we would like to see things snap back and go back to normal, and hopefully the CV-19 pandemic could be relegated to just a bad memory. Well, that's not happening, and it will never happen, as previously mentioned. It just will not be that way. However, things are improving, they are getting better, and unless and until the government either collapses, financially, or defaults on some major debt, or some massive financial company implodes and take down other aspects of the financial system, as happened in 2008, 2009. Unless something like that happens, we should be okay going forward. And I'm not saying that the investing clouds have completely cleared. They certainly have not. But the financial markets have basically been moving sideways for the last 8 months, kind of not knowing where to go. But now it's beginning to look like there's clearer vision, right? And so that's where I think we're at this moment, right? Not fully recovered, but getting there. And it may take more months, may actually take years before we get back to the 2019 numbers. But even getting back to the 2019 numbers, it'll be a completely different economy. All right. So hope you found this interesting and insightful. If so, please hit that thumbs up button. I'd appreciate it. Also, let me know what you think. Seeing anecdotally your experiences at your workplace or in your community, please leave that in the comments. I would love to know, wherever you are, let me know what you're seeing. And of course, subscribe. You better subscribe to Invest Strong. All of you. All right. Thank you so much, friends, and good blessings.